Coming up on this episode of Bro, Do You Even Talk Pinball, we've got news of a new P3 module, a big Bang Bar remake, ScoobyDoo updates. We're also going to talk about the hot topic, cheater ramps. All that and more coming right up.
Double super jackpot!
I need a ramp. I need a loop. I want targets I can hit. I need the scoop. I need a double super jackpot in my life. That's right.
And now, the Hall & Oates of pinball podcasting, Nick Lane and Kevin Manny of Buffalo Pinball. Whoa, boom shakalaka. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Bro, Do You Even Talk Pinball for February 2023. What's going on? This is Kevin over here. Over there is Nick.
That's right.
That's right. If you didn't know,
Their name's
now
right.
you know.
I didn't have my original sound on, but I got it on now, so it should be better.
There you go.
It was the test. The audio engineer is going to get fired.
That's right. Was it Sergeant Skis fired?
Yeah.
We need a new audio engineer next time.
We haven't paid him, so...
Oh, okay. It's hard to get fired. What's going on? So, Nick, what's new? What's new with you?
I have no idea. I don't know. It's another month, another show. I don't even know what happened the last month. I was trying to think what we talked about last
It's
month.
gonna be a great
I know,
episode.
actually, I do know what we talked about last month, but anyways, I don't know.
All right.
Another month.
Something Neo Geo. Well, yeah, I got a table full of parts. We'll talk about that in game room updates. We got some news. We got some Q&A. We got some good stuff this month. It's gonna be a little different, a little fun. Well, let's get right into it with some pinball news. Here's the tip. It's the latest pinball news. So hot, it's on fire. All right, up first, leading it off this month, we're going over here and we're going to talk about Scott Danesi is the creative director for the next P3 games, which I'm super stoked about as a P3 owner. I think it's one of the things we all kind of hoped was going to happen once we knew he was getting involved with Multimorphic. He got a P3, then he started working on sound stuff. He did the audio package for Weird Al and wrote a couple songs for that. He put some of his music into Silver Falls and into Rocks, and he's got one of his tracks in Flipper Foxtrot. So he's been pretty heavily involved in a number of different Multimorphic projects since he started there. But this is going to be the first physical new module that he's involved in the creation of. Multimorphic does it a little differently. They don't have like a Playfield designer and a programmer and this and that. They obviously have people who specialize in all these things, but they put together a creative team and they all work on it collaboratively. So he's heading up the creative design for this next module. So that's kind of how it's going to work. This was so Multimorphic sends out their like regular updates via email to owners of the P3 platform, and then this was kind of snuck in right at the end that he was the creative director of the next game. So if you don't know Scott, he's the creator of Total Nuclear Annihilation and Rick and Morty for Spooky. Those are the project he's most well known for. But he's been working on a bunch of P3 stuff ever since. Nick, what do you think about Scott doing a new game for the P3?
Sounds like a good fit. I think the P3 is a good platform for Scott.
Yeah, what makes you say that? Like, you think it's like the amount of like innovation and stuff he can do on that platform, or what do you think?
What?
What do you think makes him a good match for the P3?
I don't understand. You want me to back up my opinion?
Yeah,
this is pinball, Kevin. You just say your opinion and walk away.
All right, moving on.
No, I think that Scott is I think he tends towards innovation. And I think he doesn't think just strictly what's traditional, right? And to me, that's the P3, right? Like thinking outside the box a little bit, being willing to take risks, being willing to do something different. That's kind of like what Scott does, and that's kind of what the P3 does. So it sounds like a good match.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's I mostly just wanted to see how much bass he can get out of the subwoofer in the P3. So if the song in Rocks is any indication, I'm going to need some more rattle resistant tape on my glass. But that's maybe even hook up a subwoofer up to the P3 and really bring it home. So I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully we'll be getting more news from that soon. Not much else to report on that. It's just a little teaser there from the folks out at Multimorphic. But when there's a month with not much pinball news, there's no new pinball reveal. We haven't actually seen any gameplay of the $20,000 007 game yet. Those aren't shipping yet. 007, the other version, you can finally stack modes and multi-balls, thank God. So this is the top story of the month. All right,
it's cool
next.
because they caught up to like late 90s rules. That's where they're at right now. Watch the progress happen.
5 months later, you can finally stack a mode and a multi-ball.
I haven't gone in that thread, but the amount of celebration that must be going on that you can finally stack a mode with multi-ball, they must be insane. You put the bar that low.
Yeah, you just lower it so far, and then any little incremental update, it's like they're up to code point 8.7 or something like that. Dude, such a hill to climb with that game.
F in the chat though for people who don't like stacking. They thought they had their game.
Exactly. Exactly. Finally, I don't have to worry about stacking. I start a new thing, it just totally ends the mode. I don't care.
They're just gonna stay on the old code. They're gonna unplug their game from the internet so it never updates. And that's it. They've got their simple game where they don't have to worry about stacking. No one's giving them shit. Bro, you didn't stack that mode with that multi-ball? And they're, whoa. That's it.
Oh, God. I don't understand. What's going on? All right. You ready for some other hot news? Let's go over here to our friends at Nap Arcade. A rumor, unexpected company to remake one of the world's rarest pinball machines this spring. They're talking about Capcom's Big Bang Bar. And I guess technically this would be a remake because this was already remade once in like the late 2000s. And so this is a Capcom game that never made it to full production in the late 90s. And then in the 2000s, there was a small run of, I think, like 100 or so. And then it's just kind of been one of those holy grail games that collectors kind of like gravitated towards because there weren't that many, and it was always this like kind of high dollar value game. But yeah, it's I don't think you've played Big Bang Bar, right, Nick?
I've played it a handful of times,
yeah,
and it's been a while, like not even remotely enough time to form an opinion about the game.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's fun, but it's like a 90s game, it's pretty basic. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a game of its time, right? Like
yeah.
we're talking what 10, 20, almost 30 years ago now. Like I don't know. I think you and I definitely gravitate towards newer games, and a lot of the pinball market gravitates towards newer games. And Big Bang Bar, what made it interesting was it was this rare game, right, that most people haven't played. Not saying it's a good or bad game, right, but like it was that rarity that got the attention and got people to want it more than anything else. And I mean, I'm glad they're making more of it for people who want it. Like I like seeing that, right? Like there's a market for the game and there's people who want it. It's always good news when they're producing more of that game so that people can have it at a, quote unquote, reasonable price.
Yeah. Two things. I think it's going to lose a little bit of its allure once there's more of them out there. You know what I mean? Once people get their hands on it and are like, oh, okay. Yeah, game's fine. The other thing is the interesting part about this news is it's allegedly an unexpected company making this game. So the Nap Arcade post says Chicago Gaming Company, but I've heard Raw Thrills, which to me would be more unexpected than Chicago Gaming. Chicago Gaming seems like they're the company that makes remakes. Like you would expect them to be the one to make this. But if Raw Thrills is getting into pinball, that could be interesting. Do we need another manufacturer? I don't know. So, but if Raw Thrills is really they're the main manufacturer of arcade games these days. Them and basically Ice are the two big players in the arcade and redemption area. So if they start getting into pinball, and Josh Sharp works there, so this would not be a huge stretch to imagine they might have interest in doing this.
What we need from Raw Thrills
it's pretty cool.
is Big Buck Hunter Reloaded, the pinball machine. We've got the Pro, we need the Reloaded, just like there's a Pro arcade machine and the reloaded arcade machine. You got to make it happen, Josh. All right. Are you happy with the reception that the original one got? We're going to give you a second chance. I love it. We all know I love the original Big Buck Hunter Pro pinball, but as the kids like to say, do better.
What's on your ideal Big Buck Hunter pinball machine? What do you want to see on there?
What I want to see for the new one?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we got to have ladies dancing. That was omitted from the original one. Now that we've got LCD screens, like, let's use those assets. I think a couple movable deer. You know, like you gotta go bigger, right? Like you've got one deer on the original one. You need a bunch of animals that run across and just total chaos and murder.
The such a big focus of that game is not hitting the does. You need like a doe that you need to avoid, right?
Yeah, you do. That would be true. You need
even
to have
if it's not like an actual thing in the game, like something in the rules that plays to that. I think.
I'm not saying this is a good idea. All right, but we're just spitballing here. I say a thing where I don't know. You like lock the balls on. This is just stupid thinking out loud. You lock the balls like on the in lane, like that's an in lane ball lock. This is probably not going to work anyway. But like, and then when you've either locked them all or drained the ones in the out lane, then the game like sends all the animals out and feeds you the balls. And you try to murder as many animals and not hit, and does also pop up like pop-up targets or something.
I got an idea for this. What if...
Is that not... If I'm going for not terrible, if I can get a not, that's not a terrible idea. I'll take it.
What if instead of inlane ball locks, you had a ball lock on the apron that was shaped like a dick, and then they shot out like that?
Scooby did that. No. Scooby already has the inlane dick lock.
Oh, we got... Man, we're like 15 minutes into the show and we already got there.
Well, you did it. You just you couldn't wait.
You guided me there.
Okay. All
right, Kevin. So there's story number 2. We're really pulling out the news this month. Speaking of spooky, leads us right into our next story. ScoobyDoo. They finally revealed some gameplay video, and they did this. So it was not a live stream. It was a pre-recorded YouTube video that they premiered on YouTube. And they basically showed one 4-player game that took about an hour. And did you watch this, Nick?
Wait, it was they played one game of 4 players and the game was an hour long?
Yeah, pretty much. It was like 45 minutes, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's a long... Unless these guys are all really good, that's a long playing game. I still see the dicks on that pixelated image you put, Kevin. We'll never not see them.
Ooh, Big Buck on the P3. I like that. Sorry, I'm going back to Big Buck. Does that show that I have no interest in Scooby-Doo? Did you watch the gameplay video or not?
Not really. I saw it in my feed. I clicked on into my phone, watched it for maybe 45 seconds, and then turned it off. You know, I mean, it's because it's hard to. I don't know. It's hard to really know. It's
Yeah, I guess my overall impression was it was not as bad as I was expecting, but my expectations were pretty low. Coming out of Halloween and Ultraman, it's better, looks better than I was expecting. But again, yeah, it's going to come down to, what is the depth of the rules? What's the polish? Is the game going to crash like Ultraman and Halloween do? Is it going to, if you tilt the game, is it going to like start your ball over like Halloween did for us that one time? You need all this. When they present a video like that and it's all like, all right, we got this one really good game, nothing bad happened, put that one, that's going to be the game that goes out, and we're not going to do it live. They presented this in a more controlled format, so they could have avoided some of that stuff, but we'll see. Man, they're making them, they're building them, so they're still not sold out though. So if you still want one, you can get one. Here's some of the production updates. I think they're working on the first 50, they said. And they're also still hiring voice talent, which I found interesting. They put up this post saying, "Oh yeah, we hired Scott Innes, who has done voices for over 500 Scooby-Doo toys, video games, movies, blah blah blah." Like, aren't these the details you should already have as part of the game development process? Shouldn't there already be all of this stuff in the game before you start building it and shipping it out? And if it's not, would I make a big deal about the fact that we're just hiring this person? Maybe not. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
it just speaks to like their process, their build and production process. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have plenty of justification to be skeptical, right? And I think number one, it's always the build quality seems to be the number one issue. Like, yeah, I can get to the game crashing or the lackluster rules or bad audio, or at least I can't even get to those issues when I can't get past issue number one with build quality issues, right? Like that's a big hang up for me. So listen, I hope they have a better product. I hope it's better than what we saw with Halloween, where more than a year later, there's issues with that game, and I don't know. Listen, it remains to be seen. James is getting one, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we'll get to stream it.
We'll get to stream it.
Maybe we'll make the ball fall in the cabinet. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, if you want to buy one, you can still buy one because they're not sold out. So this is, again, kind of bucking the trend of all the previous spooky releases, that sold out in hours or days. Between TNA and this, there's TNA 2.0 and this. Sales have definitely slowed. So
I think I just wish that Spooky at this point in time, they've been in business for so many years now, that I wish they just graduated to a more sophisticated company. Right, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't think we're even remotely harsh or hard on them at this point. And I think it's like long overdue. Like I think they got a pass for a long time because we thought of this like new startup kind of deal. But no, this is like they've played plenty of games, plenty of issues, and they just kind of move forward and crank forward. Why? Because people keep on buying them. So I can't, in that sense, like they're doing something somewhat rational.
Yeah,
in that case.
Yeah. They're definitely meeting a market need. There's a audience who are hungry for these themes, and they like their limited run games and stuff like that. So I can appreciate that. But yeah, like you said, maybe it's time to step it up. And the fact that these aren't selling out shows that maybe the party's over a little bit when it comes to what they've shown so far. Hopefully their new platform and everything will be like up to speed where they.
I'm going to make a real bold prediction, Kevin. This game is going to be Spooky's ScoobyDoo is going to be better than Halloween.
Oh man! All right, that's a hot take right there.
That's a hot take. Yeah,
I hope so because, yeah, yeah. Where's man? I wanted to show Swords of Vengeance and I don't have it here. Hang on a sec. We're really yeah, it is in here.
It's It's Saturday morning. Take a sip of your coffee and give Kevin a fucking break.
I didn't have my stuff sorted out. So here we go. Here's Swords of Vengeance. We have a new basically 2.0 kit for an old pinball machine. This is Anthony Van Winkle from Paradigm Tilt. That's the company making Swords of Fury 2.0. They're calling it Swords of Vengeance. It's basically bringing new rules, new code, new music, new audio. I was really pretty impressed with the concept art that they showed, and it's going to have some of these animations and stuff on the screen, and so you can see some of the display animations here. It's pretty well done. Be curious to see how they integrate that Playfield, because that's a game I liked a lot, but the gameplay on it is very one-dimensional. Basically, if you're playing it, you're probably either trying to start a multi-ball or do the drop targets at the top on the old code. And so it's an interesting layout that I think some cool stuff could be done with, and obviously everybody likes the Lion Man theme. So this is one I'll be interested to follow up with. But after stuff like the Funhouse 2.0, I'm a little hesitant. I think there's great ambition with these games and these 2.0 updates, but realizing the update to a classic game like that, it's not always easy. And even simple things like the voice, like it's not simple. If it was simple, they would have got it right. That like the voice of Rudy in Funhouse 2.0, like Funhouse is so iconic that you associate Rudy with that voice, and it's not the right voice, and you can't get over it. And will it have the sophistication of an actual like Stern or JJP game or whatever? this remains to be seen. It's always hard from new startup companies, right?
Yeah, I saw somebody's comment when this was posted that this is kind of great and all, but I wish it came out like on the P3 or something. And yeah, I agree with that, right? Like, how many people have Swords of Fury? What is it called?
Swords of Vengeance is the new one.
Yeah, what's the original one called?
Swords of Fury, yeah.
Swords of Fury. How many people have a Swords of Fury, right? And like, looks like there's a good amount of time put into this and invested in it. So it's kind of cool, but I think you're going to ultimately reach a larger audience if you made it for the P3, and maybe he could bring it over to the P3 and make something unique out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see, like a Swords of Fury 2.0 on the P3. Well, let's go. Let's make it happen. We need the Lion Man trilogy, so maybe the third one could be on the P3. All right, so stay tuned for more on that. I'll be keeping a lookout. It does make me kind of wish I had kept my Swords of Fury so I could check this out, but we'll see. Maybe it'll come back around. But then again, maybe it'll push the prices of Swords of Fury up through the roof, and then I won't feel like paying that much for it.
Yeah. So Neil W in chat says the production on it was 2,705 units on Swords of Fury. That's a very low production when you consider Addams Family, like, best selling, quote unquote, is like 20,000, right? Like, in that time period, the 80s and 90s, that's low production. You got to figure maybe half of those went overseas, or 40%. There's not a lot out there. It's not a lot, unfortunately. So very cool. I love watching what these creative people are doing to bring life to these older games. I think my one thing is, like, I just hope it can find a larger audience, right? Especially if it is good.
Yeah, exactly. How much does the kit cost? Dave's Arcade is asking. Yeah, it's not for sale yet. They just announced that it's being developed. There had been some news of this previously, but now this is like a more formal announcement of the game finally. So yeah, so cost is to be determined still, and I guess we'll see. We'll keep you posted in the months to come. And that's all we got for news this month. That's it. January, not a great month for news in pinball, but we got some other cool stuff we're going to talk about. And Nick brought up this next topic that he wanted to get into this one, and I'm dubbing it cheater ramps, but I think he's okay.
I think we touched upon it, like, not in an official segment on a podcast. It came up, but this is the official bro discussion on what Kevin has appropriately titled cheater ramps.
All right, so you mentioned the Swords of, or the Black Knight Sword of Rage one. What inspired you to want to talk about this month?
I kind of forgot about this. So I've seen this before. Somebody created.
I have it here.
Yeah, they created this return ramp on Black Knight Sword of Rage Pro for the left side. So on Black Knight Sword of Rage Pro, and also on the premium, there's not a return ramp on the left. They said, you know what? I don't think Steve Ritchie knows what the fuck he's doing, but I do. You know what this game needs? It needs a return ramp to feed the left flipper. That's what the game needs. That's what's missing from this game. So somebody went out there and they crafted this, and the return ramp looks kind of nice. I think they did a nice job of it. So instead of the up kicker on the Pro on the far left shot, kicking it up to a return ramp on the right, which is the way the game was designed, okay, it will return it on the left. Right? So I don't think it returns it. I think to get it to use the return ramp on the right, it would be just the up kicker now from the shield, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so the center ramp, just to the left of the knight, will return it to the right. And then the far left orbit, instead of kicking it onto the wire form, it returns it to the left.
All right, so here's the deal. We're going to have to put this disclaimer because some genius is going to refute us with this. Listen, it's my game. I can do what I want with it. All right. This is. I find the game more fun if I put this. I really wish it put the ball on the left flipper when I hit that shot. I'm gonna do what I want with it. Fuck you, Nick and Kevin. Okay.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, in all due respect, whatever you purchase and buy, you can obviously. We would not say you can't do that, right? I saw a post recently where they were showing this, and most people were like, "Oh, that's great," and I was just surprised because I have a totally different take, and I know you do as well. And I showed this to Martha, and she was horrified. She's like, "There's nothing wrong with the game." But I just want to put it out there. Yes, of course you can do what you want with the game, and we can also share our thoughts and feelings on that, right? This is a fun discussion. Listen, I can buy a pinball machine and drill a hole through the playfield if I want to put a little gobble hole where it falls into the thing. I can take feces and smear it all over the game, which will slow the game down, and then let the ball roll around in it. Like you can do what you want. It's fine. Here's the thing. Here's where I'm curious to hear your reaction to, Kev. And unfortunately, you're in line with me, so we're not going to hear a really good other side other than it's my game, I can do what I want, which we're not refuting, right? When you do something like that, you've changed the geometry and the rules of the game. The rules of the game is that when you hit the left orbit, it feeds to the right flipper. And here's the thing with Black Knight. Like, that's how... Black Knight is a right flipper heavy game on the first one, on the second one, and on the third one. That's consistent with the design of that game. You've now changed it. So when you do, you can put a ramp in there, but when you put it in there, you no longer own a Black Knight Sword of Rage Pro the way I say I own a Black Knight Sword of Rage Pro. You have something different. You have a Black Knight Sword of Rage Pro-esque, ESQUE. It's kind of like Black Knight, but you fundamentally changed it. So if you want to say, if you got that cheater ramp and you beat the game, you didn't beat Black Knight Sword of Rage Pro. You beat a different version of the game that you've modified that is not the same thing. And maybe you're not making those claims. Maybe you're not bragging about. Maybe you're fine with it. That's cool. Like that's fine. That's just my approach. Is like it's like in golf. I play it how it lies. That's what the designer intended for it. All right. Steve Ritchie didn't go on and say, "Hey, go ahead and add this." The game's I fucked up on my design after a 40-year kind of concept. You can just put a return ramp there. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be curious in the YouTube comments. I would like to hear a really good defense other than it's my game, I bought it, I find it more fun, I'm going to do that, which I'm not refuting. I want to hear a better, I want to hear if there's a better argument than I can do what I want with something I own, which is we're not refuting.
I just thought of another one too, so we have another one we can talk about it. So AFX in chat says it is a right flipper heavy game though, which true.
That's what the designer intended.
Right.
It is true. Like the game is designed to be a right flipper heavy game. That is how it was designed. Going back to Black Knight 1, especially Black Knight 2, and now Black Knight 3. That is. It sounds like if you want to change the game, it sounds like you don't want a Black Knight Sword of Rage Pro. It sounds like that's not the game that you want. You want a game that has a left return ramp to the flipper.
All right, so that's Black Knight.
Can I one more thing?
Yeah. Let me. I'll find some more pictures.
I don't. Some people won't be able to handle this part of the discussion because they think I'm convoluting it too much. And I'm not saying anybody's doing this, but it goes to the point of changing a game so much. All right, and I risk saying this because people I know can't separate my argument from what I'm saying. But it does go to changing the game a lot and then bragging about like a high score, which I'm not saying. I've not witnessed anybody doing in this circumstance. I just want to be very, very clear. And I'm not going to dox this person in case they listen to the podcast. They can feel private shame. But I'm going to talk in generalities. We have a friend who often gets mentioned on this show. He bought a game that was made in the last 5 years. And the person he bought it from on Pinside has the Pinside high score on the game, or at least did a few months ago. When our friend got home, and the high score is ridiculous, by the way, okay? Like, when my friend got home, he looked at the settings in the game, and the game, this particular game seems to have a lot of settings that you can change. Everything was made to super easy. So this guy put all his games super easy, crushed the game because he made it super easy, and then had the audacity to brag about it on Pinside by entering the high score, as if he played the same game as everybody else. I'm not saying anybody who's doing the cheater ramp, so don't get convoluted. It just reminded me of that story.
Right.
That game also had the other thing our friend told us is this guy was bragging about how his girlfriend or wife also had like blown the game up, and I guess there's a switch broken somewhere on the game, and there's a mode in the game that like because that switch was broken, it just gave out free points like candy on Halloween, right? Like. So it's just like, this is the kind of thinking that happens. Okay, all right, we're going to step back from that story. It's It's not really related. It's just related in the sense of somebody who would butcher Black Knight Sword of Rage and then brag about their score because you know that there is a person who would do this. Maybe most people won't. All right, let's move on to the next.
It is true though, because you're not playing the same game. You're playing a different game once you start changing the way the balls feed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Turbo asked if this was the same guy making ramps for games, or was this another person inspired by him? No, this was a different person, but we're going to get to that person. I just thought of one of his that I want to mention. So, all right, let's move on to cheater ramp number 2. This is the Iron Maiden 180-degree ramp mod. And I thought of this one after Nick mentioned the Black Knight Sword of Rage one, because I saw this one, and one of our groups of friends was talking about this the one day, and they thought it was cool, and I was like, really? Like, why would you do this? So for some reason, this person decided that they wanted to add a ramp to the dead end super jackpot shot on Stern's Iron Maiden, because obviously Keith Elwin didn't know what he was doing when he designed this game.
Yeah.
So it's like,
nice try, Keith, but this guy on Pinside found a way to fix your broken game.
Yeah, so I mean, Keith should thank this guy really, because he solved the glaring problem of not having a ramp there. And I fail to see, like, at least on Black Knight, it's like, okay, the game didn't return the ball to the left flipper very much, and that's something I want. So I'm going to add this ramp.
Don't give them a reason, Kevin. Don't give them.
But here, I see 0 point of this. Like, the ball goes, instead of coming back on the playfield, it comes back on a little ramp and puts it basically in the same spot it would have been anyways. I do not see the point of this. This is dumber. There's no doubt. Like, this is like, I'll grant you that. Yeah.
I'll grant you that.
Let me see. I know there's some up close photos.
The people who did the Black Knight Sword of Rage mod can at least say, well, at least I didn't do that shit to Iron Maiden. Like, that's like, they can at least like look at them and like a snicker.
Yeah. Here. Let's watch a little video for the. Oh, that's a great video.
Oh my fucking god! Look at that.
Maybe this one might be a little better. Yeah. So whoop, it just pops it back and forth. Whoop.
Wait, why did it go around that time? Whatever.
Well, because he hit the other loop.
Oh, because that's the dead end switch, right? He's got?
Yeah. So instead of hitting the dead end switch, it just comes back.
All right, so you're cheating. That's not how the game plays.
Yeah.
You no longer have an Iron Maiden when you do that. You have an Iron Maiden-esque game. You don't. Oh, you can Kevin's doxing people who on Pinside who have signed up for this.
I just wanted to see the number of people that pre-ordered.
How many cheaters we got?
Like 35. 37. Yeah.
37 cheaters.
Yeah, and he had the price here. The price was crazy. Oh yeah, I know what you just saw.
Dude, I feel a little sick in my stomach.
The price was expensive. It was like $400 or something like that.
How much? Yeah. The ramp doesn't even look good, right? Like it looks like it looks like an eyesore.
Yeah. Rough estimate.
Maybe it will match the other ramps, right? Maybe that's just
yeah, this is a prototype in that first post. But they were saying they estimated the price in this one to be in the neighborhood of $400 to $500. And I'm assuming you're gonna have to like screw the ramp into your playfield.
Fuck that.
Yeah, you're basically destroying your game. But
dude,
go ahead and do
what
you like.
If Keith wanted the game to do that, he would have that in there. That's not the way the game plays. The game hits a target and comes flying back out of it. That's it. That's how it plays. Do what you want with your games, but you don't have an Iron Maiden anymore. You have something else.
Yeah, so there's your turnaround ramp.
Kyle Boss is on the list and he doesn't even own a Maiden.
I'm on the list. Sign me up. Oh, so bad. All right, well, there you go. And as we were talking, I remembered this one.
What is that monstrosity?
That is that's your boy Logan Pinball that everybody likes.
Keith, how do you feel about all the people fixing your game? They're so nice. You should just consult. They should just write directly to you on. Maybe you can reach out to them before you complete Jaws or whatever, and ask for their approval on where they would stick fucking shots. Maybe the best designer, like vying for maybe the best designer of all time. Like, right, he's going to be considered one of the best designer, crushing it, and then he's got amateurs on Pinside sticking shit in his game and changing the game around. Okay,
I fixed it. I don't like it. I made it better. Where's
I wish you had queued up where that person tried to restore the picture of Jesus. That's what I think of.
Everybody knows what that is.
I just wanted to put that GIF in there when people were talking about it's not a GIF, but like it's not available. I wanted to put that in there. That's what I think of. Fixed it.
Fixed it. So this one's brought to us by the gentleman who fixed TNA by adding ramps to that. This is the bridge wireform mod for Godzilla Pro. So he felt that the game like it was too slow, the ball coming down the like, spiral ramps to return it to the opposite flipper. So he made them straight ramps that go straight through the building to the other side. So
wait a minute.
Yeah.
This guy changed it so it doesn't feed to the left flipper anymore?
Correct. They feed to the opposite flippers.
So you don't have okay.
Well, no, this one just doesn't have the other ramp on there yet.
Oh, he hasn't put it on there yet.
Yeah.
He's gonna have it on there.
Right, there you go. There's the full deal.
Ugh, God, that's ugly. Dude, there's nothing wrong with this game. There's nothing wrong. Do what you want when you buy it, but it sounds like you don't want a Godzilla.
The other thing is,
or you pretend you're better than Keith Elwin and like, oh, my game's better.
Yeah, the ramps
Whatever.
on Godzilla are designed to give the building time to raise and lower. And if you speed that up, it's going to throw all that off. So they were intentionally designed to go the speed they are, so you can set up your shots to the building once it raises and lowers.
He's designing for the Pro, so that argument would be
true.
invalid.
I guess that's not an issue on the Pro.
Right.
But still.
Dude, the ball's like constantly in motion on Godzilla. You can take a half a second break. Just fucking chill.
There you go. But he fixed it.
That's ugly.
Just buy a Rojo. All right. So if you want more, you can troll Pinside for other ramp mods. But that's what we got for you.
All right.
Cheater ramps, everybody. All right. Let's do some game room
talk
updates.
about that again.
Yeah. Nick, what have you been working on in your game room? What's new? Anything?
I put some Artblades on.
What? All by yourself, or did you have help?
Well, I have to have help because someone's got to hold the playfield up. So Patrick showed me how to do it on Godzilla. So then last weekend I put Martha and I put Artblades on Black Knight and on Mandalorian Premium. And at first, so the way, as everybody knows, I can't put my playfields up. I have to physically hold it up, and then somebody else has to do work, or somebody else has to hold it up because my ceilings is just too stupid and low. Yeah, take the legs off. Yeah, that's easy.
Easy.
Just do that real quick. No, it's easier to hold it up and have somebody work on it. So that's what we did. And first I held it up, and Martha was trying to put it on, and we almost ended our relationship at that point.
I wish you were live streaming that. I would have watched that.
It'd be funny for everybody but me
everybody
and Martha.
but you guys.
Yeah. And then she's like, you do it. I was like, okay. So, but like, here's the deal. It was pretty straightforward and simple, even without, like, I see people taking the playfield off. You can do that, but you can just lean the playfield up and do it. And you can even have somebody holding the playfield up and do it. The key is, the way Patrick showed me, is to do like the wet method. So, take the sticker off the Artblade and then sprayed it down with some Windex, right? Like, didn't soak it, but also, put on a decent amount, right? Whatever you think might be middle. And then you start at one end and line it and start at the other end. And you kind of like, get aligned with the hole. And because it's wet, you can slide it a little bit and move it to make those like fine-tuned adjustments. And then once it looks aligned, you kind of try to see if there's any bubbles in the middle. If there's bubbles in the middle, you just peel back one end, put it back with the bubbles. And, sometimes there was a little like I had to peel it off many times, put it back, change it around. There was definitely some fussing, but the wet method is 100% the way to go in my opinion, because it allows you to do micro adjustments. It allows you to pull it off, pull it back on, put out right, and then it will stick and stay. And I put on enough Windex so it's not like dripping from the side. Like, I think maybe one time it did. Not a big deal. You just wipe it off.
Oh shit! The payphone's ringing. Can you hear the payphone?
I can.
Hang on. Let me see who's calling.
Unbelievable. I'm sorry for you people who pay for this.
It's my mom. I'll have to talk to my mom later. Mom, I wish it was Scott. It was Scott. We put him on the air, but
so yeah,
hopefully Scott's still around. So
it's easy. It's Nick approved. Nick approved fix.
Yeah, hopefully Scott's still around because we have a question for him.
What do you the lift cart? So I have to spend $200, take the legs off, and then store the lift cart somewhere. Like, no, that's not easier. Like holding the playfield's not terrible. Here's the other key ingredient though. It's the I have to look up what they're called, but like the Artblade protectors that Pinball Life sells. Everybody should own that, whether you have Artblades or not. Certainly putting the playfield up and down over time, you're gonna introduce potential scratches, even if it's just like there's no Artblades, right? The black paint on the side will take some abuse, take some damage. But that's maybe one of the best things I own are those Artblade plastic protectors. It really gives peace of mind. And I never would have bought side art before those things existed, right? Like I was like, it's kind of cool the side art, but I'm afraid of damaging it, and then it looks pretty bad.
Yeah, the art protectors are cool. So you did Artblades. I have been mostly working on my Matari. So if you're for those watching at home, you can see the table full of crap and parts behind me from the Matari I've been working on. Our friend Matt's been helping me out diagnosing that. Today I just got a delivery from Pinball Life, which included new legs, a lockdown bar because it didn't come with it. This is the one that I got from the auction a couple months ago, and a thumb lock. And I only really needed one leg, but I bought a set of 4 from Pinball Life because that was the only place I could find them. Because look how bent this leg is. Holy crap. It's so bad. Like, what did they do to this leg? So I got a fresh set of legs for it. It's looking good. The lock bar receiver is pretty rusty and gross, so I had to like hammer it to get it to open up all the way. I took a screwdriver and like a hammer and pounded it over and got it in, but the lockdown bar is on. I streamed it the other day as a joke. At the end of my stream, I put the rig over and showed it off. So all the mechanical stuff on it is working now. Finally, the lights are sort of working. I've got all the GI back up and running, and I've been slowly working my way through repinning all the connectors on it because most of them are really bad because of all the battery corrosion. So that's a tedious thing that's been taking me some time, but I'm seeing some progress now, so that's encouraging, and I just got to get to it and finish that up. And then it's going to be a matter of figuring out which lights are burnt out versus, which ones are not getting the power they need to turn on. So we're getting there. You can play it now. It's coming along. So once it's up and running, we'll do a bro show on Matari, and maybe it'll last 2 hours. The other upgrade in the game room is I upgraded my Wi-Fi, my internet. And if I'm probably late to the game on this, but I got a Wi-Fi 6 system. It's an Arrow, the one that Amazon does. And holy crap, is it so much better than my old setup. I get full speed down here. I used to have like 2 routers, and I think they were like screwing each other up a little bit and slowing down my internet past my main router. So now everything works really good. I got it all hardwired in to the 3. I have 3 of the little modules throughout my house, and I get solid speed throughout my house. So if you're looking to upgrade your internet, I recommend one of these Wi-Fi 6 systems. They do a good job of like covering your whole house and also maintaining the speed across a wider network. So I'm sure I'm late to the game, but if you're a streamer and you want to have solid Wi-Fi in your game room for streaming, recommend checking out one of those systems if you haven't. And finally, this is not a game room update, but I played in a tournament and I did pretty good. I got second in the Skillshot 007 launch party out in Syracuse. Ryan Zlomek, who you might remember from our show, we had him on and he talked about opening a pinball venue, and he did it during the pandemic and gave us some tips and insight on what it takes to run a successful venue. So they did a great job out there. Had a great time. Cool atmosphere. I like their collection of games too. So they have like basically one wall of new Stearns, and then they have a wall of 80s and 90s Bally Williams, and then they have another wall of early solid states, all kind of around the venue. And they run a good show. They run a good tournament. The actual execution of the tournament was good. The vibe was good. They had food and drinks as part of the event, so it was not one of those tournaments where you're 8 hours in and going. I haven't eaten anything yet today. It was good. So I would recommend going out there if you're in the area. I will definitely be back for more tournaments out at Skillshotty. It's about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes from where I live. But it's worth the drive. I think, they don't do a lot of tournaments, a couple a year, but it's worth checking out for sure. All right. Let's do some. We haven't done this in a while, so I said,
Kevin,
what's up?
I wasn't done with my game room updates.
Oh, you weren't? I thought that was all you did.
No.
All right, what else you got?
Had Color DMD and a Big Buck Hunter Pro pinball machine.
How could I forget it? I saw that in person.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So that's it.
All right,
I'm good.
What's your favorite animation and color on Big Buck?
I like how in the attract mode it shows like the digitized video of the animals, like from the game. That's nice.
I don't think I paid attention to that. I'll have to watch it for that next time.
I mean, you can see like the replay animation. It does show now in color of like shooting the cow shit. So that's the replay animation.
There
so
you
it's
go.
in color, just in case there's any doubt what's happening. It's crystal clear now.
That's right.
Love that game.
All right. Cool. Are we ready for Q&A? So we haven't done Q&A in a while. And knowing it was a lighter month news-wise, I figured it was a good time to revisit some viewer-listener Q&A. So I put the call out, and we got some good questions. So the first one comes to us from Sergeant Ski in Discord, and this kind of plays into our game room updates. He wants to know, what are your opinions on what makes a game room better? Like, if you were building a game room, what kind of things would be good to have? So Nick wants a higher ceiling, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll take that for granted. So I'm trying to think what makes a game room better. All right, let me try to tackle this. I've not seen these questions yet, so this is off the cuff. One day I would like to build a new game room, like a new kind of custom game room. And what would I like to see in there? I think certainly, like, obviously you got to have the right amount of space, as Kevin said, the right amount of height. I think more height's better. Make sure you can fit toppers. I like lighting, right? Like there's like an art to the lighting in the game room. You want to have you want to be able to see in the game room a little bit, but like you can have your game room illuminated just by the games. But I think maybe introducing some other lighting options for ambient lighting in the room is good. I don't know how I would go about doing that per se, but it's certainly a consideration, right, when building the game room and what you're doing for that. And I always like to see people's options. There's the carpet, right? What carpet are you going to go? Are you going to go kind of that zany, I'm a bowling alley arcade carpet? Are you going to try to do something a little more understated? Are you going to go with like maybe like a hardwood floor type of setup? And if you do non-rug, like a hardwood floor type setup, you're going to have the games on rubber casters, so you're not scratching the shit out of the floor. Those are considerations. What makes a game room better? I think maybe controlling for like a lot of the sound in the room. If you have a lot of people, the flippers clacking, so maybe some acoustic treatments. I mean, we're getting like fancy, really high-end thinking, but like there's the acoustic treatment of it, right? Too. That's something that I would consider. I think having a bar in some area of the game room is something that I would like to see in there. I think obviously this is a pinball show, but like having an arcade game or two in there to make it a complete arcade game room, I think that makes sense. And then, the rest is like showing off your personality. Like Kevin has a lot of albums in his game room of bands that he likes, and that kind of shows off Kevin's personality a bit. I have things that might be a little personal to me in my game room. I'm flexing my trophies, or like, there's art that we have in our game room. So I don't know if that's a great answer or anything that hasn't been considered, maybe that people don't think about. Do you, Kev? What am I missing?
Yeah, I had the luxury of building a game room from the ground up, and obviously, if my budget was unlimited, I would have gone a lot different way. You can do a lot more with the more money you put into it. But one of the things I really like about my game room is that it's on the ground floor, so it's the back half of my garage, and I'm able to load games and unload games all by myself. No stairs involved. It makes, I think about the thought process that you have to go through and the level of commitment you have to go through to buy a new game. It's like, oh man, do I really want to go through taking the head off and having friends over and doing all that. I can just be like, oh, there's a cheap game. I'm going to go grab it, play it for a little while, and then get rid of it if I don't like it. You know what I mean? I love that.
Dude, you hit the nail on the head. That is number one, right? That is, and it's funny I didn't bring that up. My thought in designing my game room, number one, no stairs, right? Like try to do no stairs, no matter what. Whether you're buying a house, looking for a new house, building a game room, try to find something that you can get your games in without having to contend with stairs. That's it. Kevin's got a great point. Kevin is able to rotate his collection a lot more than I can, because he doesn't have to contend with that and can be self-sufficient. You know, it was rough during the pandemic when, you know, we're not having people over and stuff. I didn't really do anything with my collection. It was just too difficult.
Yeah. So I think obviously every game room needs a payphone, so your mom can call during the podcast and ring off the hook. But it's, you know, I joke, but it is stuff like that I think makes the game room a little more interesting. When I had League over here the first time after I installed that, like everybody was screwing around on the payphone and calling each other, and I'm calling you from a payphone, and Jay took a selfie with the payphone and stuff. So it's like cool stuff that, you know, I posted a video of it on Instagram. And somebody's like, this is the biggest flex I've ever seen. Like, meanwhile, I have a game room full of pinball machines and arcade games, but the payphone was the biggest flex, the like $200 payphone that I installed. So, yeah, it's all about the things that make it interesting and cool. I like neon signs, so I have like the neon signs and the Run DMT clock and stuff like that. You know, any little personal touches you can add along the way. Are cool things. I like console gaming too, so I've integrated console gaming and arcade and pinball machines. I personally like arcade games a lot too, so I have a mix of games. I think the racing and shooting games are good way for people who are just casual or non-gamers who come over and check out your game room. Anybody can point a gun and shoot at it, and anybody knows how to drive. So, you know, those are the kind of icebreaker games that will get people into playing and hanging out and having a good time, even if they're not into pinball, right?
Yeah. The other thing I would add to that I definitely want in my game room, my dream game room is a jukebox. Love to get like one of the. I'd rather do like a newer one, but the old style. So the Rockola ones make the ones that look like the Wurlitzer kind of bubbler. Like a bubbler CD jukebox, but a new one, right? So you don't have to contend with a lot of potential issues. And, you know, speaking of sound, I would definitely, you know, go all out and put like speakers like in the ceiling too. So if I just wanted to stream music from that jukebox or maybe another audio setup, I have that as well. Yeah,
I like that. We had some recommendations from chat. They were chiming in with their things your game room needs. Indoor half pipe. Space seating for seating when groups come over. That's a good idea. When I do tournaments and league and stuff, I put like I have a hallway outside my game room. I'll put like chairs and stuff out there for people to sit in. It's hard to dedicate space in the game room to furniture when you're not using it all the time. It's like, oh, I could put a game there, right? Instead of a couch. But you know, having room for people to spread out and relax and escape a little bit too is good. Borg Dog wants a urinal. Hopefully you got it in a separate room, not just right by your pinball machines, but you know, I could see that being a thing in the game room bathroom.
Yeah, Kyle Bossa says a kegerator. So I'm gonna go straight above that. Legit bar, right? Legit, like I would almost do like a British style pub bar in there. I mean, I think big. If you're gonna do it, you're gonna go crazy, right? Like I think about this routinely.
Yeah, I've thought it'd be cool to have like a vending machine, like a soda vending machine that you could put stuff in. But those things just like take so much power, like they would just like destroy your energy bill. It's like they're so inefficient. But just from like the aesthetics of it, they make ones that like hang on the wall. Like that would be cool, but it's not something I'd get. But laser tag area, mini jumbotron, yeah, agreement on the acoustic panels and stuff. So there you go. Yeah, so maybe if you can't get a ground floor game room or like a walkout basement, you could get either an Escalera, or I've seen people put in lifts or hoists or instead like crazy solutions. But even that, like, you want to avoid doing that stuff if you can. Like if you could just walk it in and out, it's so much better than messing around with that stuff.
an Escalera is terrifying for me.
Oh yeah.
Like that thing just like, look, if shit goes wrong, you're going to the hospital, you're dead. With stairs, right? Like you don't want to be killed by this hobby. That's my, call me crazy.
So your recommendation is anything that doesn't kill you.
Make your life easy. I mean, this hobby is a crazy hobby, right? We're moving these 300 some pound games, right? Like, and Kevin's got the ideal setup. He doesn't have to contend with stairs. The other thing that anybody can do right now, which something that I do is I love having my game plugged into outlets that I can turn on with my phone, right? So like Wi-Fi enabled. I can hit a bunch of buttons on my phone, and then when I turn on my entire game room and walk downstairs and the arcade's ready. Right. And there's something about that. Like I'm just gonna walk into the arcade and it's ready. Like it's a cool experience to have. It's totally different than like I'm gonna walk downstairs. I gotta have my lights on. Then I gotta individually walk around, turn on 13 games, turn on Big Buck Hunter, turn on the lights, and then walk upstairs, turn the lights off so I can have the arcade vibe. Like I go boop boop boop. That's how it sounds in my head. And then it's ready. Then I go downstairs.
Yeah, I see that.
Easy
Like, it
to
gives you
do.
that whole like vibe of just walking in the arcade and having a good time.
Yeah.
I like it.
I haven't set it up so it plays Journey when I do that, like in Tron, but that's a flex.
Speaking of, so we're going to get nerdy. I'm going to California in 2 weeks, and we're going to go to the place where they shot the original Tron movie, where the building where Flynn's arcade was. We're going to go visit it. So I'm like, why not? Let's
That's
go check
cool.
it out. There's a restaurant in there now. You can go eat. We're going to go have lunch.
They're making Tron 3, huh? That's
Oh,
what I
yeah,
saw
allegedly.
with Jared Leto. Yeah,
Yeah,
allegedly.
we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see how that. We'll see how that turns out. All right, more Q&A. Thank you, Sergeant Ski. Good discussion on that one. All right, from Dan Psychosonic on Twitter. He wants to know, what do you expect will be the initial reaction to the first Scooby-Doo pins landing in the next week or two?
Really hard to say. Obviously, like the people who are in on it and getting it in on early, a lot of times there's this bias that they're they can take a lot of shit, right? Like they're almost like apologists because they've got their dream theme made, and I understand that, So I think that they're way more likely to give Spooky a pass or do some cope, like it's early, it's gonna get better, or I was able to, like they can take a lot, so. That's what I expect for the early reactions to be. We'll see how it progresses over time. I'm curious to see if they fix their quality issues. I don't think they have, but I'd be curious. That's a good step one, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I think I agree that the people who bought in early are going to be happy with whatever they get, pretty much at least the start, right? But then I think the shine will wear off, the initial like, ooh, shiny, I'm one of the first people to get this game. And then people will start like actually looking at what's there. We'll start hearing about, any issues that may arise. I mean, with any new game, that's what happens. And then I'm most curious to see how this new board set is going to work out for them. Like we got into this last month about how, after, what have they done? Like 6 or 7 games. They've gone through like 4 different board sets at this point. Is this the one that's going to stick? Is it going to be reliable? Is it not going to crash? Is the playfield going to be the right thickness? Is the ball going to fall in the cabinet? These are all the answers I need. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Questions you shouldn't have to ask yourself when buying a pinball machine, right? And that's kind of the point.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, shout out to Donnie in chat. Always good to see. Donnie's always here on the Saturday mornings. We gotta go to. He has
He likes
Town
the talk
Ballroom.
show.
Love Town Ballroom, by the way. We should go see Snarky Puppy in April, Kevin.
All right, sounds good. Sign me up.
All right.
Needs more pinball there, though. You know what I mean? All right, we got a long one here from Josh Oker sent this in via email. It's a multi-part question, so we'll tackle the first part first. He says, pitch me on open playfields which seem common or as the default physics design on most new games, period, and most new CERNs, certainly. I haven't heard or read any discussion about when playfield designs seem to change to a more fan-based layout where most action is pushed to the top of the playfield. Here I'm thinking about design trends by era. Take, for example, Jungle Lord and Flash Gordon versus Rush and Led Zeppelin. This is more of a nerd question than a ratings one. Am I crazy to see a pattern of most new games as having open playfields? When flipping, new games leave me cold, which is fine and well. However, before I write off most new games as likely not for me, can you tell me what about open playfield gameplay I might be missing? I don't want to be too glib when rolling my eyes at a fan layout style pin, where most sharp shooting happens to send the ball up the playfield without a bounce and return it to right back to the inlane via a wire form. Again, variety is cool, but given how ubiquitous fan/open layouts are, simply curious how people who like them describe them and why. So
I gotta reread that. Donnie's hooking us up with.
You want me to reread?
I don't think anybody who's listening to this podcast want you to read. That's a lot there.
Okay, so the
how
Cliff
would you
Notes
condense it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Cliff Notes is open playfields. Why are they so popular right now? And why don't we see more games like the older stuff like Flash Gordon and Jungle Lord that had like 2-level playfields and, you know, more stuff, I guess, closer to the flippers versus shots far away. There's safer returns to the player.
All right, well, let's tackle this. I mean, his example says, take, for example, Jungle Lord and Flash Gordon versus Rush and Led Zeppelin. Like, I mean, Rush is not exactly an open playfield design. There's shots close to the flipper, especially on the left hand side of that. So that's not an open playfield. Certainly, Led Zeppelin is. You know, all right, let's continue. This is more of a nerd. Am I crazy to see a pattern in most new games as having open playfields? I don't know, Kevin. What do you? I mean, like these. I think that there's some tried and true playfield layouts that people tend to like and that sell well and work. So I think designers certainly want to play it safe and stick with designs that are well received and do work. I think you know, like Black Knight sort of Rage Pro is a fan layout per se, but it's also not an open playfield. I mean, if you miss a shot, the shots are so close to the flippers that you probably will brick and drain. Same with Mandalorian. So those are two games that I can think of off the top of my head. And even Rush on the left side, if you miss, you're gonna probably brick and drain. So they're not all following this kind of open playfield. And when you say open, I take it to mean that there's a lot of space on the playfield that's not utilized with shots or posts or pop bumpers, right? Like Godzilla is kind of an open playfield. There's a lot of space that's just not used and the ball can roam. Why might we see things like that? Well, you know, there's people that don't like Black Knight because it's brutal. And I think that's really punishing towards a more casual and newer player. Same with Mandalorian. Mandalorian does well on location, does well for me as an operator, does well for other operators because of the theme, and people will play it regardless. But I do see complaints that it's too hard. I love that it's hard, right? I think it's easier to get away with making a game that's a little easier, open playfield, more space, more forgiveness, right? You have an open playfield, less things for the ball to bounce off and drain. Now, do I have a preference for one or the other? I think years ago I used to say I do like games where the shots are way back. And I think I was saying that because we didn't see a lot of those. Like, we didn't see a lot of like the 24 kind of layout. You know, there's like 24 has shots way back. Led Zeppelin kind of mimicked that in some way. So it was just nice to have something different. I think I like a variety. And at the end of the day, it's how do the shots feel and how are the shots incorporated into the rules. Hopefully that answers the question. Kevin,
Yeah, I think it's giving people what they want, what sells. You know, people want to feel like they're good at pinball, and giving people shots that return to flippers safely. If you make a shot, it makes you feel good, and it gives you another chance to take another shot without having to recover the ball. And you know, if Stern makes, say, a Mando, and Mando doesn't sell as well as a Godzilla, maybe some of that is the fact that the game is more punishing or whatever. You know, there's a lot of factors that go into a playfield design and why it sells, and you know, its theme and music and assets and all that stuff. But if they see a trend over time that the players buy more of the games with the open layouts that they can have longer play times on, then maybe that's what they make. And, they have to walk a balance of, sure, it's good for a home player, but on location, you want people putting more money in. So operators probably like a game like Mando better than a Godzilla, unless the game is so hard people don't end up playing it again, right? You got to find like this middle ground, a good balance of giving people enough gameplay for their money, but also not making it so long that the operator is not making their money either.
Yeah, and look, and you mentioned Jungle Lord. Like, look, they have like the way the shots are on Jungle Lord in proximity to flippers, it's kind of the same as they are on Black Knight Sword of Rage. It's kind of the same as they are on Game of Thrones. It's kind of the same they are on Mando. So we are getting games that still have shots closer to the flippers. I think we've been getting pretty good variety there. I think that, if you like games like that, there are games like that exist today. Black Knight Premium LE does kick you to an upper playfield, like the maybe you're alluding to on like Flash Gordon or Jungle Lord, and so does Game of Thrones Premium and LE. I mean, coincidentally, they're kind of similar in design philosophy, right? I mean, they play differently, but those games do exist for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think not all current pinball is fan layout or shots far away. We're getting a good mix, and maybe if you're try like Jersey Jack games or a P3 game, or if you're getting kind of it. To me, it seems like this person is more getting just like bored of new Sterns all the time. So maybe if there's some other manufacturers, or go back to play some Bally Williams games, mix up the things that you're playing, because if you do play a single manufacturer all the time, they do start to feel samey after a while. So mix up what you're exposing yourself to. Go back, there's 100 years of history in pinball, so go back and explore the classics, see what other manufacturers are putting out, and I think there's enough out there, both classic and modern, that you're going to find something that you like.
It's a good question, right? Like, I think I know what you're saying, and fan layouts can be a little bit boring. I think Mando's a fan layout, but it's fun. I don't. It's not a baby game fan layout, right? Like sometimes to me, fan layouts can be too easy or long playing. But again, it's how are the rules incorporated that? Is this supposed to be a long playing game? Well, then that makes sense. It should be a little easier. All right, let's move on to question number 2.
Okay,
this is for me. Go ahead, Kev.
Since it's for you, I'll ask it to you. When a game is on location, how much does it need to make per week or per month for it to be worth it to you? For an individual pin, what is both the expected return for you to be satisfied with the title, or conversely, the minimum threshold under which you would pull it and replace it with something else? Location being equal. On your Business of Pinball episode, you mentioned offhand something like if a pin was doing $40 a week or something, you'd pull it from that bar.
So it's different for me because this is certainly this is a side business, right? It's not my main source of income. I do it for reasons in addition to making money. If this was my full-time job, I'd be probably way more aggressive and could really give you better figures in terms of what I want to see a pin make. I have some games out there now at a location where it's just they're not earning much, right? And I've been thinking recently about pulling those games and maybe putting someplace else. But the problem for me is that I don't have a lot of time to invest in this business, so I'm okay settling for those games maybe making less than they should be. And it comes down to a personal thing, right? Like, what if every operator might have a different criteria? Like, they maybe want the game paid off in a year or 2 years or 3 years, right? They probably have an idea of when they're happy with when it should be paid off, and that's probably going to vary by the market that they're in. Certainly a larger market, larger city, maybe where there's not a lot of competition, they can be more aggressive in terms of what they want to see it make versus a smaller city and area. So, not an exact answer, right? My situation is somewhat unique, but it hopefully gives you some idea. I would say that if I was doing this in Buffalo for full-time hobby, full-time work, I would try to have these things paid off within 3 years. I think would be my minimum. Try to get 3-year payback, and if it wasn't on track to do that, I would move it around until it at least got to that, with the ideal being like a year. That'd be like, I'd be ecstatic if this thing paid for itself in a year.
Are you factoring in resale value when you talk about paying it off, or no? You're just like earning enough
paying
to buy
for
a new
itself.
Okay.
Paying for itself. The game is $7,000. It's, cover the cost of the game in that period of time before it's generating a profit, right?
Okay. Yep. Makes sense. Related question from Sergeant Ski says he would like to hear Nick's thoughts as an operator about the bubble and whether the current pricing is going to either force people out, kill the market, or drive a consolidation.
Yeah, I see you put bubble in quotes, and I probably because you and I are on the same page with this. I mean, I've been hearing about a pinball bubble probably since I got into the hobby in 2010, right? Is this a bubble? Is it not a bubble? I don't know. Eventually, it's maybe going to be a bubble, right? You keep on saying it long enough, it will happen. But here's the reality of the situation. You've got this is bad news, right? You've got pinball, the cost of a new pinball machine going up quite rapidly. You've got also less people going out and playing pinball than pre-pandemic. I'm going to throw out, maybe we're roughly at 80%, right, of what it was pre-pandemic. So we're making less money, period. How much can somebody get squeezed on that? I don't know. Honestly, not sure. I wanted to actually, I was curious. I was going to reach out to Zach at Flippin' Out and ask him if he's seen a decrease in pinball orders versus like last year and what trends he's seeing. Because that's like a economic indicator to me, right? When people are buying less of these expensive toys, things are slowing down. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I really don't know. I think to be successful as an operator, you need to have a lot of locations and a lot of machines and critical mass in machines and locations. And then you can certainly make money that way. And as long as these games tend to hold their value or even go up a little bit, you can have a nice little business. And, I've had this conversation with my business partners, and I think that we're going to see pinball trend up. In trending up, I mean like people coming into the hobby and interest in people accumulating and collecting for at least another 10 years. At least. I think it's going to be 20 years, right? Kevin and I are both in our 40s. Kevin, do you have any plans to get out of the pinball hobby anytime soon?
Nope. I'm in it, maybe. I'm not going anywhere.
I'll probably be collecting for the rest of my life, right? Like, hopefully, maybe I have a good another 40 years left in me or so. Who knows? And I think there's a lot of collectors in the range of, 30 years old to maybe 60. And maybe the median or sweet spot is somewhere in the 40s. So I would look at it like this. There's going to be that desire for pinball machines for the next 20 years pretty easily. I'll reassess 20 years from now. Where is it headed? Do we continue to see, as, these kids grow up and they become in their 30s, then they start collecting pinball machines. And I think pinball machines are sort of, I don't want to say becoming normalized in seeing in somebody's house, but I'm happy to theorize that, look, in the 80s or 90s, you didn't see a lot of pinball collections in the house because they were everywhere. You didn't think to put a pinball machine. When it dried up and they were not on location, these pinball machines started going into houses, and then you go to somebody's house and you see they have a pinball machine, and you're like, shit, I never considered having a pinball machine in my house. So then more people start putting in their house. And as you know, if you've bought a pinball machine, typically they multiply. You don't just have one. You start buying more. I think more people are coming into the hobby, certainly, than people who actually leave the hobby at a significant rate. We see more people coming in and competing year after year. We have an economic disaster in the next 10 years. Sure, that might, you might see a glut of pinball machines or prices come down as people selling it. But I don't think the desire to own or have pinball machines in a house is going to change anytime soon. And I also don't see us going back to the 80s or 90s where pinball machine is everywhere. And you're like, why would I have this in my home? It's just like I'm tripping over pinball machines when I leave my house. And also people are spending more time at home. So again, long story short, I think next 20 years, we're still going to see an increase in desire and demand in pinball machines. How fast does the price go up? Does it retrace a little bit because of something bad in the marketplace? Maybe, perhaps, but, bullish on pinball, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm with you. Because even if you look at like the financial crash of 2008, yeah, pinball took a hit, and it, things got real close to shutting down, but they didn't. And then after that, it was this massive boom that's been carrying on through today. So I think, if there's going to be ebbs and flows over the years, but I think on the grand scale, the long tail of pinball, it's an upward trend for sure. And if we got Scott Danesi in chat still, we got a question for him, because I think this person thought Scott was going to be on the show. Wants to know if Scott regrets selling his Aftershock Earthshaker. So if he's in chat and wants to answer that, we'll let you know his answer to that. All right.
I love seeing posts, by the way, when people are like, I love seeing posts where people are like, my first pinball machine. That's beautiful. I tear up a little bit.
It's great. Let's while we wait and maybe get an answer from Scott, let's thank our partners, shall we? You want to do the honors, or should I?
Sure. We want to thank our premier partner, Pin Stadium. Pin Stadium Lights. It is the premier lighting kit for your pinball machine, controlled by iOS, Android app. Light up your pinball machine with Pin Stadium lighting kits. He's got a new one out too. It's a Pin Stadium Neo. Was it Alpha? Stadium
Ultra?
Neo.
I think.
I'm sorry, Scott.
We love you, Scott. Thank you.
We love you. All right. Here's why I was checking it out the other day. And why I'm doing a terrible off-the-cuff ad read. What I like about it is he's found a way to do an even slimmer profile to it, right? So it's thinner, but it's just as good as the. It's Atom, the Neo Atom. So yeah, great product. Highly recommend. 10% off when using code Buffalo. Other sponsors very quickly: Comet Pinball, FlippingOutPinball.com, PinballRaffle.org. Titan Pinball, Multimorphic, Pinside.com, and Jersey Jack Pinball. All
right, thank y'all. And with that, let's bring you over here. Thanks again for another month. You can follow us on all the social media channels if you haven't yet. If you want to send us a question, we will answer it on the show if it's a good one. Make it a good question and we'll answer it. Talkpinball@gmail.com.
Yeah, we got good questions. I like those. I like that. Good,
we did. It was a good month for some Q&A. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to us on Twitch or share your Twitch Prime Gaming. What are they calling it now? Amazon Gaming, whatever they're calling it now. You get a free sub per month to any channel on Twitch. We'd appreciate it if you shared that with us. You can send a PayPal donation to buffalopinball@gmail.com, or you can drop a review, a 5-star review. And we should thank. So after we shared our 1-star review last month that somebody shared, the spooky owner who was not too thrilled with our take on spooky pinball machines. We got numerous 5-star reviews on iTunes, so thank you for that.
I'm really grateful. Let's read one of them. A lot of good reviews. So thank you guys for taking 5 minutes out of your day. It's kind of you. We hear you. We see you. We appreciate you. All right, this is one. Just randomly picked it.
Randomly selected.
Best Pinball Podcast is the title from looks like Skywalker, SQ Walker. All right, this is by far the best pinball podcast. Base, I like it.
He's not wrong.
They have great insight and honest opinions, impressions, and reviews. Nick is hilarious with his no-holds-bar attitude with each manufacturing game. It's refreshing. Send him a fucking mug, Kevin. Mug for that guy.
Mugs. Oh, mugs.
I was thinking of giving them less than 5 stars until they started talking about Playfield artwork dildos. Definitely 5 stars, baby. The reviews are in, folks.
That's right. We got new merch too. There's another way you can support the channel. Exclamation point merch in chat if you're watching on Twitch. You get yourself a sweet Buffalo Pinball mug.
We do a terrible job hyping. I didn't even know we had mugs. I forgot. We do a terrible job. We probably should hype some of the. We're in a weird place with merch, but we do have some merch.
Yeah, the Streamline Stars got good stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, there's another good review too. You got it. You got that one pulled up too, or no?
No, you got it. Go ahead. Maybe I didn't see the like a more recent one.
Let me see. I'll get it. It's fun to read people saying nice things about us instead of bad things all the time. All right, here we go. No,
I would say there's bad things all the time. That's not really.
But we tend to focus on the bad things.
Oh, sure, sure. We're a hashtag positivity. Yeah.
Title: These guys are pretty funny. From Briscoe's Horse.
I'll take it.
It took a while to grow on me, but now I am hooked. Also, yes, Spooky has some serious issues, and you guys are spot on. Keep up the great work, boys. So there you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Let's do one more.
One more.
Latest episodes are a knockout. Hey guys, longtime listener and YouTube viewer, but your last few episodes around Spooky are hilarious, and the remarks about hobbyists are spot on. Thank you for being honest in reviews overall, regardless of manufacturer, instead of a mindless cheerleaders. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, are we done patting ourselves on the back?
We're done. Well,
Okay.
actually, it was them patting us on the back and then us reading.
It's pretty meta. It's pretty meta.
It is. But don't go anywhere, because I know y'all have been hanging out for the latest episode of Topper Talk with Goran. We got that coming right at you right next. But until next time, have a good month, and we'll see you on the channel.
It's Topper Talk with Goran right now. Let's all have some fun. This is about plastic on top of your pin. Go and buy one now. There's a topper here and a topper there. Here a topper, there a topper, everywhere a topper. It's critical to the gameplay experience. You must buy one now. It's your monthly fill of toppers right now. Topper Talk with Goran. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Topper Talk with Goran, the part of the podcast where Kevin and Nick give me about 3 to 5 minutes to talk about everything happening in the very active and profitable Topper community. Now, today we're going to throw back to an older, simpler Topper, but also a very neat one, and that Topper is for the Who's Tommy Pinball Wizard pinball machine. So let's head into the office and talk about it now. All right, so here we are in the office, and let's jump right into it. So as you can see, we're talking about the Who's Tommy Pinball Wizard. And the topper on it is a very simple topper. The Who's Tommy, a big part of it is obviously sung Pinball Wizard, so that's how the pinball machine got its name. And naturally, they wanted to put a giant pinball on the topper. Now, there's something really cool about this pinball. When I saw it, I thought, okay, they just put a big ball bearing up on top, and that's what it is. But I played it for the first time the other day. When I walked up to it and it looked at the topper, there was something pretty cool that I saw. It actually has on top of the back box artwork that is mirrored inside of the pinball, and it says Official Tommy Pinball Wizard, and it points to the player, which I thought was a really, really neat touch, something that I wasn't expecting, and put a smile on my face. You can see that here from this photo as well. You can see how it's painted on to the top of the back box, so it reflects into the pinball. It's very simple. It's not electronic. It just sits up there. But if you remember, the purpose of toppers back in the day, they usually came with the game, and more operators were people who bought pinball machines. And the purpose of the topper was to attract a customer over to that new game to play it. And that's exactly what this giant pinball on top of a machine does. It's shiny, it attracts people over, but it also puts a smile on someone's face when they see that fun little nod and lettering inside of the reflection of the pinball on top. So you have a positive experience. It gives you a positive, lasting memory in your mind. So I think this topper does its job, and for what it is, it's a really, really awesome piece to sit on top of the pinball machine. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Topper Talk with Goran. Tune into the next podcast for another episode, and as always, get out there and buy a topper. Thank you for coming to my Topper Talk.